I'm here with my friend Stefan. We're setting up rear tires for Tennessee Knockout, which is what? We leave in 8 days. Tubeless half mousse. Might not be the cheapest setup, might not last the longest, but I think it gives you the best traction. Everyone wants to know, how do you do this? They're scared to do it. They think it's too complicated. It's very simple. NMS 18305. If you cut this mousse, the way I show you, it will work in any hard enduro tire you would ever want to run at Tennessee Knockout. Here's what we have. Next question, how do we cut the mousse? Okay. Step one, Milwaukee saw, 45-degree blade. Very simple. Step two, NMS 18305. Step three, tailgate, F250 Lariat edition. Friend, beer, hacksaw, patience, and you want
alcohol abuse.
Spilled beer, you want to cut just below the equator of the earth. If you want to rush, fine, it doesn't need to be perfect. If you take your time, you can make a really nice clean cut. Honestly, doesn't matter.
Nobody will ever see it.
I would favor skinnier than thicker. We're trying to save the bottom. The middle, the inside is junk. Favor the inside, not here. Favor down low. We want it skinnier than thicker. Now becomes the test of patience. But as you can see, if you just go slow, and here's what we're doing. Keep filming because you can speed this section up with like time warp. Ooh. Yeah. Cut it. Little known fact, most professionals in Romania run this setup. When it comes to the Romanian mountains, all the local knowledge that I heard from everyone was like, oh, stupid Americans, make sure you run tubeless, make sure you run tubeless, make sure you run tubeless, because everyone wants to run the mousse. And the mousse is good when you have traction, but I don't know. I think this setup is reliable if you're tedious with your setup and thorough with your maintenance. And if you're okay buying a $140 mousse and sending this through the middle of it.
Are you sure this isn't Gumby material?
Gumby?
Gumby. Remember Gumby?
Remember Gumby.
So it cuts faster if you can pull on this and lift this up to like spread it.
I'm good at that.
Spread its legs. Spread the moose's legs, and I will be able to cut it faster. See that?
Oh, look at that.
See that?
My finger.
Right through the NMS 18305 Nitro Mousse, Matt Sather. I hope you're watching.
Hashtag at Matt Slather.
This is gonna be a good one.
Hang on, let me get a re-grip.
This is gonna be a good cut mousse.
Way faster.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to Matt Moss. Me and him invented this method at Tennessee Knockout 2 years ago. We had spectators walking by us. We just pulled a fresh Nitro Mousse out of the box. We pull out our saws, and they were not from the United States, and I guarantee they were thinking, stupid Americans.
Don't you think that this has been around for longer than 2 years?
Yeah.
So it was one of those inventions that had been invented, but you didn't know the invention existed.
The first person I heard
Did you reinvent the wheel?
No. The first person I heard about this from is heard about it from multiple sear riders, but I remember getting timed out at a sear race.
Yeah.
And it was, I wish I could think of his name. But I asked him what he was running because his rear had like
Hooked up.
perfect sag, you know. And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I get a Mousse and I cut the middle out of it and put a tubeless on." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? You know, that sounds crazy." Like you know,
Great.
what is his name?
Mark.
No,
Abbott.
no, you're not gonna guess it. So like most people, I was hesitant. Didn't want to try it. It seems too complicated. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated. And if you have questions, just slide into the DMs at Wisco Enduro. Now we're getting towards the end, which is where you're inclined to rush.
This is where you need to take your time.
This is where quality normally goes out the window.
Because you're sick of song.
Yeah. Got what? Another
12 inches.
0.2 meters.
That's what she said.
I just got back from Romania. I'm dealing in Celsius and kilometers, and Bunas and lays.
Do you manage your speed by miles per hour?
No, you convert your GPS to kilometers, because that's what all the information displays to you is kilometers per hour. Kilometers. Today you will have hard days, 140 kilometers.
You mean 80 miles?
It will be good mix between flowing tracks and technical trail. They don't tell you you're gonna be in a valley with like 150 cattle with two dudes with sticks that are 8 feet long. They could whip you or they could whip the cattle. You can't tell if they're mad.
Did you
Can't tell if they're happy.
Did you throw any shit at anybody?
No.
That's good. You're a good man, Matt. I saw them do that at on Any Sunday. Excellent movie, by the way. So
Show the people what we just created.
check this out.
Junk.
Well,
Good.
can't we save that for later?
No, we don't need it. This is what we made. It looks poor, but it's going to hook up better than what everybody else has in their rear.
I don't want anything in my rear.
We'll check back in when we go to mount this tire.
Thanks for helping me out on this.
Mousse is cut easily. It's the second worst part after installing this, which is easy. But
Looks a little flaccid.
I hate dealing with the rim tape, but the rim tape's on, so now we got the cutted mousse. In Europe, there's companies that are making these things molded to this shape. It accommodates this bladder perfectly. I have not held one in my hands yet. I had the opportunity at Romaniacs, but I was too busy trying to survive, so we take Nitro Mousses and cut them in USA. So, lube. I like this. Lots of people like other things. I don't really want to debate. Lube, doesn't matter. Here's some.
Handful.
Big ol' handful. Lob it in there. Rub it around, half-ass, just spread it. Doesn't matter. Softball size. Round and around. Lubed up, no problem. Remove the glove, take the half mousse, put it inside. Very simple. Just seems simple to me.
Do you put more lube on the inside of the half mousse?
Yeah, I like to. It just makes me feel a little bit better. I don't think you
Lube
need
always
to.
makes me feel better too.
Yeah, Stefan with the jokes. Here's the extra. Stefan, we'll call this the Stefan.
The Stefan step?
Completely unnecessary because we're going to put a bunch of soapy water inside of this tire.
Oh.
But whatever.
Get a big old
If
bucket.
it makes you feel better, do it. That's what I say about everything. A little bit of mousse lube on the tire bead never hurt anybody because we're not trying to run.
The great part about this
mousses.
lube is it just turns into soap, right?
Yes. Yep, it's not a mess. You can get it on your clothes, washes off, whatever. Go on to debate tire lube. Here we are, ready to go. It's time to mount it. I'm gonna wash my hands. See you in a minute. A half mousse in the tire, plenty of lube. When you buy a tubeless setup, they give you one of these. This one's new and shiny, so I don't trust it. That's Stefan's. Here's mine. It's been used a few times. If you have a directional tire, pay attention to the direction. Everyone runs their ibex backwards. So if I see you with TKO and your ibex is on backwards, I'm definitely gonna judge you silently. Put this here on the bead and pay attention. This tire is not directional. If it is, figure out your life. Have your wife double check, have the neighbor double check, have someone like double check so that you don't put it on backwards. Because you don't ever want to be that guy or girl running tires in the wrong direction. It just looks bad. There's allegedly engineers that figure out these tire patterns and whatnot. I don't believe that, but just like a normal tubeless installation at this point, completely normal, just like normal tubeless. Work your way around. You can go on YouTube, Neutech Nitro Mousse, Matt Sather will get you the links if you can't Google properly. I know plenty of people who can't. Just working the bead around.
www.whitehouse.gov, not .com.
Getting good information out of our government these days.
Whitehouse.com is not on the government.
It's on. Pull this out. We're going to put this thing up on the stand, get it mounted. It's going to be aired up, dialed in. Best traction setup, probably, I don't know, once you're good at it, 15, 20 minutes tops.
Matt's really good at it. His bucket of lube is almost empty.
I'm ready to be gone for a second.
Want to take a break?
No. We're ready to mount the tire. Rim locks here. Bead Buddy. Motion Pro. I like Motion Pro stuff. You can get this tire probably halfway on the first side with your hand. When you're doing this, rounded tips. Rounded tips. Everyone has Rabicondas. Everyone has these. Leave these at home when you're dealing with tubeless. No, 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 no. Yes, 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 yes. Probably 2 bites and this side will be on. There's 1 bite. There's 2 bites. We're on. Wow. Super complicated. Super scary. Really hard.
Sarcasm.
Good. Sorry. Oh, we're on to the other side. Same thing. Rim lock here.
It's sarcasm.
Just a little pushy push. Motion Pro, Bead Buddy on. See how far we can get this side. Not even using tools. 1/3, 40%, 45%. I'll take my first bite, 1 bite. 2 bites. We're coming up on the rim lock. With these, if you back the rim lock off proper, you don't even really need to push it in like you need to with a mousse or a tube. A little tricky on the rim lock. We're on, we're past it, no problems. Small bite. 1 more. Boom. On. Now we're gonna take a couple sips of beer, come back, show you how to air it up.
That bead buddy seems like a deal breaker.
We are now going to begin the show.
Thank you, Maddie.
The
So
most
here we
excellent,
are.
Maddie.
We got the tire on the rim. I didn't realize these were Warp 9 Elites, because Stefan
Elite.
has good components. But anyways, we got the half mousse in here, Nitro Mousse, NMS 18, 305, cut in half. You saw we did that. Rabiconda, it's all here. At this point, all we need to do is
Air it up, right?
the most important step, Stefan. The step I say everyone forgets about. Everyone who says tubeless is junk. Oh man, puncture.
It's too hard to install.
Puncture, puncture, puncture. It's too hard to install. I filled it up with air and it popped. It's because you didn't get Dawn dish soap and water and you didn't follow their YouTube video where there's a nice looking lady who goes through every single step, and they say over and over, most important step is to take dish soap and water, and they want you to go every 3 spokes to lubricate the black inner bladder against the red, we'll call it intermediate bladder. You know, everyone who has one of these knows what I mean, but you should literally be going every 3 spokes. If you're new to this, putting a little water in there and just trying to lube it up. I do 3 big squirts this whole bottle, but I've been doing this for years. So we're doing it kind of how she says. This isn't what causes all the problems, but most of them. Everyone who's had trouble upon installation, myself included, I've gone through 5, 6, 7 inner bladders making mistakes on this part. More water is better, more soap is better. Flip that over, we'll do the other side.
It's slippy,
Oh yeah.
but this will defeat the slippy in the rocks. Is that a Coors Light? Oh man. It's better than a Bud Light, I suppose.
I would assume anybody watching this video knows that tubes like lube. Unless you like to be chafed, and when things chafe, they rip. And when things rip, air pressure is lost. Now you say, tubeless is junk. Turns out you're just ignorant on how to install it. And I mean ignorant in the purest form of the word. You want to do it right, you just haven't taken the time to
So all he's doing
read
now
the
is
details. It's just
spreading
it
the
around.
lube. Spreading it around.
Spreading it
That
around.
lube's got to get in all those crevices.
You know, and it has. So now we'll put it back on the stand. Stefan will confirm that the valve cores are installed, which they
They are not.
So we will come back to you once the valve cores are installed, and we'll show you how to air it up.
And we're back.
Final step. This is when you get to find out,
Did we make mistakes?
did we make mistakes? I like to I use an air compressor. I have the regulator set at 120 PSI. I cycle the system, which I just did. So I know it's got 120 PSI in here. Everyone gets confused. They see this big beefy rim lock one, and they think that's where the high pressure goes. No, 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 no. The normal valve stem, 120 PSI. If you put this on here, it takes air and you don't hear any abnormal noises. Keep in mind, here is the rim lock. This is still loose. This is the second most common reason is to tighten. If you tighten this before you air up this, you won't always puncture your tube, but there's a much better chance of it. So there's no air inside the carcass of the tire. Rim lock is loose. We're gonna air up the high pressure side to 120 PSI, and we're gonna cover our you-know-whats and pray to God, Allah, whoever you believe in, that we don't hear a psh. Ready?
Here we go, Satan.
Bead popped. We're airing up. It's normal to see bubbles coming out around some of the spokes and around the rim lock, but it took air because we put a ton of lube in there. Like that soapy water is what makes this all go. Like we're 120 PSI inner chamber. Beads are seated on both sides. Like we are looking dialed. The only thing left is to tighten the rim lock. I don't think we'll have a problem, but we'll see. We'll be right back.
And now we are going to begin the last 2 things.
Perfect. Thank you, Maddie. Stefan, so the last step here is to tighten up the rim lock. We have plenty of lube inside of here, so we shouldn't have an issue.
How do you know how tight to make it?
I will show you once we get closer to that. I've had 1 or 2 times in my career of turning wrenches that I had the inner pressure bladder puncture upon tightening of the rim lock of a tubeless system. But it was when I made an error and I tightened. If you tighten this before you air up the high pressure chamber, that is when that happens. If you use plenty of soap and water, You air up the high pressure before the low pressure. You'll be fine. Matt from Neutech, he's a great resource. He's like Matt at neutech.com on the email. You can find him on, you know, if you just message at Neutech Nitro Mousse on Instagram, he'll get back to you. He's a great guy. He'll help you with tire fitment, mousse fit, you know, tires, mousses, what fits with what. If you really want to know for sure, he'll send you a chart that shows you how to measure your own tires so you can make your own decisions with your mousses, because that's probably the best way. But I didn't hear this directly from him, but I've heard from other people that they like to tighten these rim locks up until they can count 7 threads.
Huh.
I like to go tighter than that. I think that's a conservative number based upon engineered factors of safety. It probably works, but I feel like I've learned through experience that I can get to where I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a half threads, and you'll feel that torque ramp up from 2 fingers to like fist, and I just stop there because you got 120 psi holding this bead on the whole way around. So yeah, this tire install has been a success. We'll be back in a minute once Stefan gets to realize that his stuff's all put together, and we'll tell you why we did this setup.
Talk about being dialed.
This is the grand finale of the finish of the movie.
All right. Thanks, Maddie.
So Stefan's got a IRC JX8, which I have not personally run yet, but I hear it's a really, really good tire. Like, I hear it's got really good off-camber grip. I hear nothing but good about it.
I like the stiff sidewall and the soft
Carcass?
round. The soft round. I like the stiff sidewall and the soft round.
I'm stoked on IRC and their support of the series, the US Hard Enduro. The only thing that's been keeping me from trying is I like the 140/80, but they're good. They're good people. They're good tires. We put a half a mousse, Nitro Mousse inside of this because look at this flex. This is just 20 pounds of pressure. That is what you want when you're sitting on your bike. If your side knobs aren't touching, your tire is not soft enough for hard enduro.
So there's 20 pounds of pressure in there?
Yes.
I'll probably run...
No, there's no pressure inside the tire.
I'm saying I'll
pushing
probably
down
run
lightly.
zero pressure in there.
We are. That's what this... So we have 120 PSI in the outer chamber. We have no air in the carcass whatsoever, and we have a half mousse in there, which gives you kind of a progressive... It ramps up. It gives you good footprint. It protects the inner... It protects the inner bladder. It lasts, I don't know, it's longer, it's more predictable, and if you want to run a little bit stiffer for a faster race, you air it up. It works just like normal tubeless, but you have that half mousse inside of there that lets you run it super soft without worrying about your rim, puncturing the inner bladder. Like,
I'm excited.
There's cons, but there's way more pluses.
TKO, here we come.
In my opinion, best setup in the world. Ciao.
Yeah, later.
Done.
Yeah, whatever. Nice job, man. See ya. I like